February 2022 in Michoacán, the chief avocado inspector was found murdered. He was killed for refusing to certify fruit grown at gunpoint. America's demand turned green gold into a $3 billion trade, now controlled by cartels and even more lucrative than cocaine. How did your guacamole become blood money? And why are people dying over a fruit? The real story begins decades before the first bullet was fired. For most of the 20th century, fresh Mexican avocados were locked out of the United States. The ban, first imposed in 1914, was meant to protect American crops from pests like the seed weevil. For 83 years, Michoacan orchards watched from across the border as U.S. consumers made do with California fruit or none at all. That changed in 1997, when a new trade agreement forced a limited opening. Mexican avocados could enter 19 northern states, but only during winter months and only from tightly monitored orchards. Growers in Michoacán began to taste the possibility of a new market. Then, in 2005, the final barriers fell. The U.S. Department of Agriculture lifted all restrictions, and for the first time in nearly a century, Mexican avocados could be shipped nationwide, year-round. The response was immediate and overwhelming. In the early 1990s, the average American ate just 1 pound of avocados a year. By 2020, that number had soared to 8 pounds per person. Health trends, aggressive marketing, and the rise of guacamole as a party staple fueled demand. On a single Sunday in 2023, the day of the Super Bowl, Americans consumed around 140 million pounds of avocados. Prices climbed, and so did profits. The fruit that once struggled for a place on the table had become a $3 billion export, with Michoacán at its heart. The economic stakes were set. What began as a policy change had unleashed an appetite that would reshape entire regions and draw the attention of those looking to profit by any means necessary. Michoacán sits at the center of the avocado world. Its volcanic soil, rich in minerals and naturally well-drained, produces a Hass avocado, with a creamy texture prized by buyers across the globe. No other region in Mexico matches its output. Today, Michoacán grows around 80% of the country's avocados and supplies about 90% of those eaten in the United States. This single state has become the engine behind export trade worth $3 billion. As American demand soared, so did the transformation of the landscape. By 2010, new orchards were spreading at a rate of more than 25,000 acres every year, swallowing up farmland and forest alike. Local growers, once dependent on corn or livestock, found themselves at the heart of a gold rush. Avocado trees offered profits far beyond traditional crops and the promise of steady buyers just across the border. With so much money flowing through one region, the stakes could not be higher. The entire supply chain, orchards, packers, and highways, became concentrated in a handful of Michoacán municipalities. This kind of geographic focus created opportunity, but it also left the industry exposed. Any disruption in Michoacán, whether from weather, politics, or violence, could ripple through supermarket shelves from Los Angeles to New York. For those willing to take risks, the profits were irresistible. For everyone else, the cost of doing business in Michoacán would soon be measured in more than just dollars. By 2010, the business of avocados in Michoacán had become more than just farming. The Knights Templar Cartel recognized the crop's soaring value and set out to control every dollar flowing through the region. Their system was precise and relentless. Farmers paid a monthly fee known as la renta, ranging from $100 to $500 for each hectare of orchard. Refusal was not an option. Those who resisted faced burned groves, kidnappings, or worse. The violence was not hidden, it was a warning. Trucks loaded with fruit were stopped at roadblocks, and drivers were forced to hand over from $2,000 to $5,000 per shipment just to continue down the highway. Even the packing houses where avocados are washed and boxed for export became targets. Owners were pressured into silent partnerships, with a portion of every box's profit siphoned directly to the cartel. In 2019 alone, extortion and theft pulled an estimated $152 million from the avocado industry, money that should have gone to growers, workers, and communities. That cash flow fueled a deadly competition. In 2014, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel moved in, challenging the Knights Templar for control. Turf wars erupted across the orchards and towns of Michoacán, and the murder rate soared. By 2020, more than 2,000 people were killed in the state, many tied directly to battles over avocado profits. Cartel gunmen seized land at gunpoint, forcing families to sell orchards for a fraction of their worth or to flee north. The profits rivaled those of cocaine, but the product moved legally across the border, hidden in plain sight. The lines between legitimate business and organized crime blurred, and the price for resisting cartel control was often paid in blood. Every avocado bound for the United States must pass a final checkpoint, certification by government inspectors. On paper, the process is designed to guarantee that only pest-free, legally grown fruit enters the United States market. In reality, the system has become a battleground where legality is up for sale and safety is never assured. Inspectors in Michoacán walk a narrow line. Some receive anonymous calls warning them to approve shipments from cartel-controlled orchards or risk their lives. Others are offered envelopes thick with cash, bribes that can run into the thousands of dollars per permit. Those who refuse, like Salvador Villalba, face threats that escalate from whispered warnings to deadly violence. In February 2022, the threat level spiked. United States inspectors received direct warnings naming their families. The USDA responded by halting all avocado inspections in Michoacán for 1 week. The cost was immediate and staggering. $17 million lost each day, fruit piling up in warehouses, and the entire supply chain grinding to a halt. The Mexican government rushed 500 soldiers to the region, but the message was clear. Cartel influence reached deep into the official channels meant to keep the trade clean. Behind the scenes, the certification process had already been hollowed out. Whistleblowers describe a world where paperwork is manipulated, orchard locations are faked, and phantom farms, plots that exist only on paper, are routinely approved for export. In some regions, local insiders estimate that a large share of certified orchards are either controlled by criminal groups or used to launder fruit from illegal land. The official stamp of approval has become a tool for cartels to turn illicit profits into legal exports. For honest inspectors, the job is a choice between survival and complicity. For United States consumers, the guarantee of a clean avocado is little more than an illusion. The transformation of Michoacán's hillsides into endless rows of avocado trees comes at a staggering ecological price. Satellite data show that tens of thousands of acres of pine and oak forest have been cleared in recent years. Much of it was burned illegally to make way for new orchards. The loss is not just measured in trees. These forests once anchored the migration routes of monarch butterflies, and their numbers have plunged as winter habitat disappears. Each avocado harvested in this region draws about 60 gallons of water from aquifers already running low, leaving wells dry and streams reduced to trickles. Cartel-backed growers ignore environmental rules, drilling illegal wells and setting fires with impunity. The result is a landscape scarred by erosion and drought, where the thirst of a booming export crop threatens both wildlife and the people who depend on the land. Troops patrol the roads around Uruapan, but the extortion rackets never stop. After the military arrived in 2020, checkpoints multiplied, but so did the violence. Homicide rates in Michoacán barely budged. Cartels simply shifted tactics, moving their operations, bribing new officials, or splitting territories with rivals. Security experts and local NGOs describe a cycle where federal deployments shuffle the map of who collects the rent, but the green tax on every avocado stays. Tech companies and exporters promised a digital fix, blockchain traceability. The idea was simple: track each avocado from orchard to supermarket and block out criminal fruit. But in Michoacán, paperwork is written under threat. If a cartel controls the land and the data, no database can guarantee the truth. The experiment fizzled before it reached scale. Meanwhile, American demand keeps climbing. The United States now consumes over 3 billion Mexican avocados each year. Alternative suppliers in California, Peru, and Chile combined cannot come close to filling the gap. As long as the market is this hungry and enforcement this weak, every attempted fix just rearranges the profits. Every avocado aisle in America is still linked to a violent supply chain. As global demand grows, so does cartel power, unchecked and largely invisible. The stakes aren't just economic or environmental, they are human. Until that changes, the true cost of green gold is paid far from our tables.